In this video, I'm going to show you in more detail how you can analyze your data. So again, as we talked last time, the first thing that you have to do is open the two files in Excel, the one that is results and the one that are the one from figures. And here, remember in the Excel one, in the Excel of your results, you will find all the data, and in the figures, you will find some tables and some figures that are empty. And as soon as you copy and paste the data, you will see all these figures appear, and you can analyze it. So let me show you some examples. So here, as I said before, I have opened my results here, and I have opened the other file of the figures, and here, as you can see, the figures are empty. This one has the data that says that there is no in the Histogram, all the groups that have is 0, and this will change as soon as I add the data here, as I will show you in a second. So let's start uh, copying and pasting the data. So you have to go and copy the data from the results to the figures in this section, and this figure will appear. So let's copy and paste. So here in yellow, I'm going to enable the. I'm going to now go and copy and paste my data. So Control C, and now I'm going to go to, remember that here in this Excel table, it said are your data here. So here in the area space, I just paste it here and look. So I paste the data here. You might only have until 36 or 36 and 40. In this case, in this movie they were able to label until 42, so it's fine. So but look, as soon as I put the data, this graph appear, and you can analyze that. And how you can analyze that, I'm going to show you that in a second. So let's see how to do it. So you just uh, copy and paste, and if you see here, the figure is getting smaller. In other figures, the data can start getting bigger. So it depends on the data that you have, but this can help you to answer this question. The first question to analyze is: are the cells getting bigger, like in this diagram? Are the cells getting smaller? Are the cells are not displaying a significant change? Um, and you can answer it based on this figure. In this case, the cells are getting smaller, and in the case of this figure, the cells are getting bigger. Yeah, so look, it's going from almost from a little bit higher than 4.5 until almost 14. So very easy. Just from analyzing these figures, some of them can get smaller or some of them can get bigger. The second question that you can answer with this figure is: are the changes happening gradually, like here, in a linear way, or in pulses using oscillations like here? Instead of having this gradual growth, they grow and get smaller and grow and get smaller. And if you see your figure here, you can see certain amount of peaks and oscillations. So in this case, in the case of this example, you find oscillations, and in the case that I just showed you here, you also, although the graph is getting bigger, the cell is getting bigger, in this case you also find oscillations. So this is in both cases they're showing oscillations. So the answer is: are these gradual or are they oscillations? And the answer in those two cases that I showed you is that they are showing pulses. Okay, so now let's go to the third question. And if you see in the graph when they have pulses, you can ask the question of, do you see that how many oscillations in size do you see? So for example, here you have one, two, and three. Yeah, so here, for example, with the data, I color code in red and in yellow each one of the peaks of the oscillation. So here it was getting smaller, got bigger, and then got small here. It got bigger and then got small here. Again, still can keep oscillating, and you can also calculate that. And something similar, you can do it also with this data. So here you can have one oscillation, another one that is a small one. Here there is another one that the cell get bigger and then get small, and you can keep doing this, quantifying that. And why this is interesting? Because you can see that, for example, in this data, I did the same thing. You can see that the boxes, they are. It seems that in the beginning for this cell, it seems that there are more oscillations in the beginning. Well, this one you see here, there is almost no oscillations at the end. So it seems that the oscillations are in the beginning for this cell. And there are other ways to also analyze this information. And one way to do it is, as I show you here, through this guy graph that is the figure of the rate of changes in apical cell area. And I'm going to explain you what I have in this figure. In this figure, what we are doing is, do you remember the cell area? I'm going to zoom and focus only in this one. So here you have a cell that it was uh, 15 micrometers in size, in area, and now in the second time point, now you have a 13 micrometers. So the cell got smaller in 2 micrometers, and this is the data that you see here or that you see here. So here is the data. So the cells start getting smaller and then start getting bigger and then start getting smaller and then start getting almost get the same size. And this is what this graph is showing. So let me show you the second time point. So in the second time point, so I compared the second and third time point. So now is 13, and the next time point is 13, 7. And so here, from 13 to 7, 13, 7 point, uh, there was a small increase. So this is the change that you see here. You see 0.5 that is here. So start getting smaller, start getting slightly bigger, and then, as I said, if you continue doing that, analyzing all of them, you can see how they get smaller and how they start changing and at what rate. So again, so in this graph, you can see that most you have more dramatic changes in cell size in the beginning, in this middle and beginning, while at the end, if you see, these changes are much smaller. Yeah, in the majority of the cases, there maybe these two are higher, but these ones here are much smaller compared to these ones that are very strong changes. And finally, the last change that you can see is to ask, okay, so we saw that there were changes that they were small and there were other ones that are big. Uh, but how many of those are small and how many of them are big? So how many are like these changes, small oscillations, small changes, and how many are very big changes? And to do that, you have the third figure. So here is an histogram that it counts how many large changes and how many small changes you have. So if you have never seen an histogram, here uh, you what you Excel does is make bins, make categories. So for example, I took all this data and I organized it by size. Yeah, from the lower to the higher. So here you have -2, here you have 2. And then I'll color code it for you. So here are the cells that don't have any change, or the ones that have just a very slight change in yellow. Then I Here you have the one that have a higher change, and this one in purple, the one that have the -2 change or the 2 change, so the more dramatic changes in size. And what Excel does is allowing you, instead of counting, you having to count and put this into a bin. Yeah, so this will be one bin, this will be another bin. Instead of making those bins, Excel do it for you. So here it make a bin of 2.2. So the cells that are in between 2.2 and 1.5 are 4 cells. Here the cells that are in between 1 minus 1.5 and minus 0.8, you have 7. So as you can see here, a lot of the data are just very small, while very few have more dramatic changes. Yeah, and this is something that Excel does for you. So that data, you can do it just by looking here. And in this case, from this data that is different, is the same thing. Like you have here each one of the bins of the categories, and here you have the majority of the data belong here, and you have very little ones that are getting smaller. What you see is more that are slightly getting bigger because the cells are getting bigger. Yeah, but they, instead of making uh, big jumps, it seems that a lot of the changes are most of the changes are very small. And if you have any question how the bins, here you can go to format access. And here, for example, if you want to change the number of bins, you can just say, what about if I have 10 bins? And if you see now you have more bins, if you can have 8, and in that way you can do it. You can have 5 bins if you want, etc. Anyway, so here, just to finish this video, these are some ideas that you can use to analyze your information. I show you 2 examples, one in for this specific video, yeah, that I just went through and copy everything. In your case, you will do the same and get the same result. And I show you this PowerPoint presentation where I went step by step answering some questions. If you find any way to analyze the information in a different way, just let me know and we can think about it, and you can have a very interesting project. If you have any doubt, just let me know, and have a good day, and bye.